live. Let me check how other platforms are doing at this moment.
Yeah, we are live.
Yay!
Evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Say It With Love. And this is, as you have known, as you know, we have already rebranded ourselves as the Lovely Educational Podcast. Now, in this episode, we will be diving into a topic of a very, very common trait that every one of us have. Um, that's procrastination.
Yep. It's not something uncommon, and I think I myself sometimes have a problem with that. And yeah, let's talk about procrastination.
Yeah, I don't know when we talk about procrastination, one thing's for sure. What I mean, why do you think we procrastinate?
Well, to me, is a lot of overthinking. I think and I started my job as an application analyst. So I was trained to analyze situations, analyze problems for solutions. So, of course, I couldn't blame it on that part. I would say underlying root cause of it would probably have a lot to do with fear. There is two sides of the fear. One fear is fear of failure, and the other side is fear of success. Yeah, as counterintuitive as it may sound, but yeah, both are real. And when I actually analyze the problem, why do I do this a lot? And sometimes I will put myself under fire, under pressure. Within very minimal times, I give myself timeline that is very
Mhm.
minimal for myself to push myself forward, and I find myself working best in that kind of situation, and like under fire.
Mhm.
It's because I overthink. Yeah, and if we were to really look into the depth of it, there's either this fear of failure or fear of success. So let's look at fear of failure first.
Fear
It's
of
like, what
failure.
if this doesn't work?
Yeah, I think
Like,
that makes sense though. Fear of failure. I really couldn't recall a time when I procrastinate really, but because I'm such a bad procrastinator,
is that humble bragging?
well,
Sounds like it.
actually, I really couldn't. I really couldn't remember the last time I procrastinate. But I do procrastinate at times, and the times when I procrastinate was when I was afraid of doing something for fear that it may not work out or may not turn out as well as I thought or probably imagined it could turn out to be. But I still do it nonetheless, but at a much later date. And the fear of failure and the fear that things would not turn out the way I expected, that caused me to procrastinate. But other than that, I don't remember procrastinating because this is not humble bragging. Okay, this is really for real. I'm more dutiful than most people.
Well, I mean, I would say there are a few types of people. I mean, one of them is action taker, means action first and think
Hmm.
later, and
Mhm.
some people think first before actions. So we fall into different category, right? If I were to put them into three categories of people, they feel, think, do. Um, is actually about feeling, doing, being,
Mhm.
and thinking, feeling, and doing. You get what I mean? So when it comes to these three big categories, I'm a person who feel first, then
Mhm.
think,
Mhm.
then only do. So it sounds like it's a long process to doing and materializing what I need to do.
That
And
makes sense.
for you, most likely you do first.
Yeah, I'm an action taker. I do
and
first, and then I think later,
later.
and then later I feel. Because the
Yeah.
feeling comes last for me.
Yeah, feeling, you put that aside, you can park that aside, and then yeah, and just do, you know. But
Mhm.
then when the result comes out, the outcome comes out, I can sense that sometimes you be like, yeah, you put your feelings in there, whether it is good or not, then you start expressing yourself and being the person that I know. Okay, yeah, I mean, is it wrong? No, there's no right or wrong to it. And then now the other side of it, which is fear of success, is because success comes with responsibilities, and much much bigger responsibilities. You see, what if this really work, right? And say if you're doing something and you're materializing it, then example, like you create a product, you design a product per se, and it really worked, people likes it, people buys it, and then the fulfillments you need to fulfill, and people
Mhm.
pay money for it. Now it's time for you to think for it next, how do I fulfill this, what are the next thing. But these are good problems to have if you really to think about it, um, in deeper sense. Now, and if we even go, if we even magnify the fear to a certain
Mhm.
extent, sometimes I didn't realize this, when someone one day actually told me that, Eunice, do you know you're quite a perfectionist yourself? I'm like, no, I'm
Perfect.
the least perfectionist person that I ever known. I thought so. So I thought. Then as I thought about it, yeah, come to certain things about certain procedures or certain things. I
Mhm.
mean, certain values that I hold on to in terms of priority. Yeah, sometimes I can come off very stubborn, as very
Mhm.
stubborn. I don't give in, and yeah, I think that side, I didn't see it as perfectionism. I just thought it was more of, I thought this is something that we need to hold on to, just to make sure it works, just to make sure certain things work the way it's supposed to be.
I mean, that has got to do with the consequences of whatever that has happened before, right? Like you had certain antecedent or certain incident that happened that created some form of consequences or emotional consequences such as stress, guilt, and even loss of self-esteem, things like that, and
Yeah.
that probably caused you to uh, procrastinate in a way, and that
Hmm.
carries some form of impact, don't you think? I'm not too sure if this applied to, if this applies to other students as well. I mean, students in the academic world, in the academic side of this whole thing that we're talking about.
Yeah, my students often tell me that, sometimes when I ask them, is there something that, you want some help from me because I don't see you working on it yet? And then it'll be like, teacher, I'm planning. I'm thinking. I don't have any idea. I just don't think this is good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear all these little comments, then you could think of it, and some of them really are totally just not motivated, because simply because they don't like what you ask them to do. There's no interest, and why do I need to do this? They don't see the point of doing it. There's no goal to it, right? There's no purpose to it. Even as much as I told them the purpose is to learn certain things, but then they're not interested in the outcome of that learning. So it's just like marketing. When we actually teach as teachers, we gotta market them what they want first, as if we're giving them what they want, but we actually give them what they truly need in the lesson itself. So sometimes I market through their passion, what they love, and
Mm-hmm.
then when they buy the idea, then I'll just teach them what they need. So, I mean, that's what marketing has taught me to become a more effective educator. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, people are emotional beings. We can't stay away from being non emotional, because we are. And I think a lot of sometimes, you see, the coping mechanism that whenever we have stress, what do? We either freeze, we either flight, or
Mm-hmm.
we either, what was the other one?
Flight.
Freeze, flight, and
We fight, flight, or um, fight, flight, or
Fight.
freeze.
Exactly. So I
Hmm.
think procrastination is also one form of freezing, or yeah, freezing temporarily
Or
until you
maybe flying
find,
away.
yeah, and some form of also internal fight, because it's like, I don't like this, why should I do it? Like, you have this eternal kind of fight within you.
It's
That's
a
why you're not
conflict,
doing anything.
like internal conflict. I get you.
Yeah, exactly. And the other one is flee, avoid.
Hmm.
Totally avoid it because I don't like it. Right? How now that is the part. So I think the only way to really motivate someone or motivate ourselves to move forward is, yeah, I guess, to understand the cost of the procrastination. Is it worth to procrastinate? What will happen if we do, and what will happen if we don't? Right? Maybe you want to talk a little bit more of that from your experience.
What happened if we fight, flight, or freeze? Is that what you were referring to?
In a way, no, I mean, if we procrastinate, right? I think one of the strategy how we can overcome is understanding the cost of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you have any experience to share with others, and how it impacts, like, you know, per? I mean, understanding it in that sense. How do you like make someone understand the cost of it?
I think when you come to the word procrastination, it's got to do with whether or not the activity that you procrastinate, um, uh, that you procrastinate about is is worth doing according to you.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it really depends on how much you prioritize that activity that you really want to do. But the cost of it is when, if you are supposed to do something and you're responsible for doing something and you procrastinate, that means you either miss deadlines or you actually do it on the last minute and on a very, very short notice, and you didn't put so much effort into it. And as a consequence, you did not deliver uh, good results, or you did not deliver excellent work at the end of it. And also, if you are neglecting certain personal goals and the results, as a result, or rather as a result of you procrastinating, you start losing focus, you start losing the fullest concentration of what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to be responsible for. Then it's not going to be very, very useful, isn't it? It's not going to be very helpful, because when you put the thing that you are supposed to do today to tomorrow, and then to tomorrow, and then the following day, and then the day after next, then it's going to drag on, and the whole series of things that you're supposed to do, the tasks and all that, just piles up, and then you have a volcano of load of work to do at the end of the day, which that's something not everybody wants, and I believe that's not something that you want either. And
Mm,
the cause of it is, you know falling into the trap that everything is going to be done later, where it is a form of an illusion to begin with. And the trap is that thinking that you should do something much, much later, things are going to compound. It's like compounding interest, right? It's going to add up. Like the task you're supposed to do today, you didn't do. You wait till tomorrow, and tomorrow you have new things to do. You have new tasks, new responsibilities, new sets of things that you're supposed to concentrate and work on, and then you end up not doing anything, and you have the whole thing snowballing at the end, right at the end, and what you have is an avalanche. It's a
mm.
disaster. It's going to be a disaster.
So,
So
what is
this high.
the strategies that you suggested? Whenever we have this person that we want to coach, it is ourselves, likely to be ourselves, whether it's parents or students listening to this. What are the best strategies that you can self talk or coach yourself out of a situation, or as an educator, as a parent? How can you help, your ward, somebody that you care about to overcome this?
There are many ways of overcoming it. I think it really depends on what you like to do. For me, or what suits you best. In fact, to be honest, I'm not a journal. I'm not a journal person. I don't do personal journal. I don't do procrastination journals. For me, I don't like writing. I mean, I'm okay with typing, but I don't like writing. I find them a chore. So I prefer doing things like keeping myself busy, or focusing on things one at a time, and doing certain writing out certain plans and goals, uh, instead of keeping a journal, writing my thoughts down. Now, this is just not my kind of thing. uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing is to identify the triggers and the patterns. uh, I mean, every student's, you don't have to depend on your parents, and for parents, I think they can inform their children, or their kids of, how to identify the patterns and triggers. Is that when you realize that you want to do something, but yet you put it off to the next day, that is one of the symptoms. That is one of the signs that, hey, you are starting to procrastinate. And when you decide to just slag it off and just lose your focus, I think that's one sign to pick up that, hey, that's the beginning of a series of procrastination that's going to take place. I mean, people can tell from, as a third party looking in, I think they can tell whether you are going to procrastinate, but no one knows it much better than yourself. And I think students, they know that they're procrastinating. They know that they are putting things off to the last minute, to the very, very last hour, when they had to rush for their homework. They have to finish off whatever they need to finish, and do their last minute preparation for the exams, things like that. It's a very normal, very common thing to do. But identifying triggers is one. The next thing is to sort of break the pattern. Breaking the pattern. What do you do to break the pattern? What do you think? What have you done?
I mean, I have to be in terms of taking action for myself. It has to be purpose motivated. That's me. It has to be purpose driven. So it's so important for me to understand my goals on completing certain tasks, certain. I mean, even as a student back then, it's always back to the goal that, hey, you know what? I by hook or by crook, I need to graduate because I cannot afford another year. I don't have the funding. And I was already working part time while studying to fund my studies. So it has been hard. It has been tough. I don't want to go through that kind of tough life anymore. So yeah, that was how it. I created a I didn't literally create like I didn't know about vision boarding back then. I didn't even know about smart goals back then. But in my head, there is this thing that, by hook or by crook, I need to get this. So if okay, this is a bigger dream, like to graduate. But what is a smaller goals? To graduate is like you pass every subject at least, at certain level that you think you are possible. And if you get like a C this round, maybe next round strive for a B. The next round, let's the B's, let's strive for an A, kind of thing. So there is like a tiny little milestone, smaller steps that you break into smaller visions, just like
Mm-hmm.
for students wise, is like for every subject that you think, let's be practical, let's every term give it some little numbers to that is achievable, that's practical to add on, so that next term your exam result or the outcome of whatever you're doing is completed more of. So giving yourself a timeline really works. And usually what I do is that I will shrink down my true timeline for myself, because I know I would be potentially procrastinating, but actually I have a month to complete certain thing that I need to do. So I just give myself 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So
Right.
half of it, right? So it means that if that half, 1 week is, I probably procrastinate for 1 week, which means I
Mm-hmm.
have only 1 week left. And that 1 week I'll be like working under fire. So so then I still have actually the buffer of the 2 weeks, which is the exact the real timeline
All right.
that is a hack to our own brain. It's like sometimes our brain just want that time bound thing. So what we do is like we cut half of it. It's just like waking up. Sometimes some people will have to sleep in, they don't get enough sleep. So what you do, you wouldn't be able to wake up at 6, example. Okay, you want to wake up. So what I do is that I will tweak it to 5:30. Yeah. So it means that 5:30, okay, pretend that you can sleep in a bit more, 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, but still you wake up before 6.
Okay.
Y-
I
That is,
find that rather torture. I find that such a torture. I mean, just to wake up so much earlier. I know if you are procrastinating, definitely you can or you may want to switch it to half an hour earlier if you can wake up, that is, and if you can't, at least you can procrastinate earlier than you procrastinate.
in a way, it's like a small little hack. I mean, I call it, okay. Like for me now, my biological clock will just wake me up at 5. So yeah, I mean, it has becomes a habitual thing. Your biological clock will create its own highway. Okay, your
Mhm,
brain is so smart, it creates its own highway, and
mhm,
then it will be automated after a while. And that's why it calls like, you want to start a new habit, you have to start
mhm,
like for 21 days, and consistently in that 21 days you create a new cycle of habits. So yeah, I mean, that is the hack, I think, for me. And of course, there's this thing I used to practice, Pomodoro, but
mhm,
I really feel distracted in a way, because when I'm really focused in something,
mhm,
you can't tell me to rest like for 30 minutes. I can't. And because it's like when the creative juice is flowing, please do not stop me, that kind of thing.
mhm,
I find it a struggle, little a bit, but then I know that is actually a more productive way of doing things. However, I know myself in a way that it didn't work really well for me. So what I did was like maybe 3 hours of focus and half an hour of rest, depending on the task. I will see the kind of task that I put on, and then instead of Pomodoro technique, I use a bit more. Yeah, because resting is really, I think resting does not really motivate me that much.
mhm.
Rather, sometimes I feel resting actually gives me some guilt when I'm on to certain tasks. And that tends to burn me out. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we have to be aware of ourselves. It's more of how you, I guess, how you manage yourself. I don't know. What about you?
Um, I think one comfortable thing that I am probably able to do is to change my environment. Um, if I find that if I find that the environment I'm in creates sluggishness or creates some form of lethargy,
Mm.
uh, then it is up to me to want to give myself some energy or re-energize myself by doing some exercise or going to get something to munch on or to drink certain things or certain have some coffee, uh, or maybe doing something or either going somewhere and then come back again to refocus on what I last left off. And I think by changing the environment, by doing something different, it allows me to take a break from what I do and come back to it much later instead of continuing doing what I'm supposed to do, and not to focus on a task too long because that will create um, some form of lethargy. That's for me because when I focus on a task too long, I focus a lot. For me, I focus a lot. I don't know if that's a strength or it's a weakness, but I take that as both. So I tend to focus a lot, and when I focus too much on something, I tend to get very tired and exhausted if I don't take breaks in between. So that's when I start taking breaks. What's this got to do with procrastination? Simple, because after focusing on a task too long, I get sick of it. I get very tired. I get very exhausted. I procrastinate after that. I'll be like, I want to do this thing again. Nah, no thanks. I'm just gonna slug myself for the rest of the day, and then rest of the week, and then rest of the month, and then I'm not doing anything after that. So that's when I don't take breaks in between. Yeah.
Hmm. All right. I think that is more of a productive way to, uh, beat procrastination in a way, is to have a dedicated, a much more, I would say, a distraction free um, environment. I think whether it's for study, whether to complete certain work, I think that's so important. And also, yeah, having goals is really important. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have to break it down into tasks. Like, I know that some friends, they really like to do have the to-do list.
Yeah.
It works for some people, but to me, I don't really like to have that checklist, because at the end of the day, it's not about checking those lists. It's more about the priority that you
Mm,
need to reprioritize more of. What
mm,
is more important is more important than the task itself,
mhm,
because there are prerequisites to certain things before you do the one after.
mm,
So yeah, I mean, we only have 24 hours, let's be real, okay? And let's say we take 8 hours to sleep, okay? And then we have breaks in between. So how much
mm,
time actually are we left to be actively doing the thing that we need to complete? Example, for studying, right? So
mm,
say for a student, if they go to school like for 8 hours a day,
mhm,
example, they sleep for 8 hours, so 16 hours is gone. 24
mhm,
minus 16, how much is left?
mhm,
Okay, minus the time you go to toilet, you have some breaks in between. Yeah, let's give ourselves a a 2 hour, let's say 2 hour, to do some revision, or to at least do something that has to do with reading, something to do with writing, something to do with speaking. I mean, if it's a language revision, or if it's something practical like practice math, science, whatnot, right? And yeah, I think it's about breaking them in priority list of the day, and then getting each a little bit of each, done uh, on the day. And most importantly is actually focus in class,
mm,
and get teachers help whenever you need to, so that you can ask quality questions and get the answer when you have someone to guide you. That's so important, because I don't really encourage my students to bring their homework home. We don't even call it homework, we call it assignment,
Work.
that they should be doing in school itself. That's why
Yeah,
we have.
that's why I call it schoolwork. You don't bring it home, you do it in school, that's schoolwork. Homework is for work that's supposed to be done at home.
Oh, all right. Okay. Whatever you call it, we have tutorials dedicated for the students, so they can make full use of this time. Rather, some of them actually ask me, "Teacher, can we chill? Can we have free period?" No, but we can do some activities, and to because your body needs some movements. Let's to go and do something, and I make them dance today. Some of them wanted to
Nice.
dance. So yeah, I said, well, let me do it with you. I may not be dancing like you, so you teach me the moves, all right? So yeah, they did. Of course, some of them, like the boys, right? They were like, "Oh, Joe, please, this is
What?
so." Yeah, this is
Really?
yeah. This is. I said, if you're not gonna dance to this song, I'm gonna turn on Baby Shark, and we're gonna do Baby Shark.
Um,
Then they
no,
were like, "Oh no, we're not gonna do that one."
no, not Baby Shark. No. How old are they?
They are 14.
Oh man, no, no.
I know, right? I know that is the thing. I mean, they are actually 12, 13, not really 14 yet even. But still for them it's too baby for them, right? Yeah, I mean, I was just joking with them. I mean, in a way I want them to get their brains moving. I wanted, you know, yeah, it's so important to break the routine once in a while, to give yourself a break, and to come back, yeah, to it. Yeah, I think that will be much better. mm, so yeah, I mean, anything else you want to add on, like how you can keep yourself more motivated?
Hmm. Stay motivated. For
Mm.
me, it's I have this constant voice in my head that keeps telling me to do it, do it, do it, do it all the time. It's something that I keep programming myself with. It's like me visualizing the end goal of things, like the end result that I really want to be on track for. Uh, uh, you know, uh, One thing, there's one reason why people do not find success, and the reason why people procrastinate a lot is because they don't have a purpose in life. They
Mm.
don't have the big why in their life. Like, why do they want to do what they want to do? And what connects them to the task? I mean, what's the purpose of them executing the task that they so want to do, but they don't really want to do it? And um, they just don't do it because if you want to achieve something, if you want to achieve a result, you got to have a sense of urgency, a sense of purpose, and you will do it no matter the cost. And even if it takes years for you to find success or for you to find the answer that you're looking for, yeah, and how badly you want that success. And if you want that success so bad, like oxygen, okay, then you won't procrastinate, because procrastinate is a comfort zone. It is a very dangerous comfort zone because it keeps you satisfied with your current position and not achieving what you want to achieve years to come. And years after years, I mean, year after year, you keep procrastinating. Imagine the amount of years that go by or that pass by, and just you not doing anything, and at the end of the day not getting where you want to go. That's sad, because uh, you will one day ask yourself, uh, at your deathbed, what have you done, what have you what have you really achieved? And you're probably going to ask yourself, why did I procrastinate, why did I not do it? Because of fear, and now you are living a life of regret. So
Well, I think that's easily understandable for people our age.
no, but because it's true, because the thing is, I know, regardless of what age you're in, you got to know this, you have to know that regardless of what age you're in, you will die one day. And the thing is that you think that you have a lot of time to live. Some people don't live past the age of 30. They just collapse and passed away. Um, and that happens to a lot of people. I mean, these days it happens to a lot of people, health hazards and all that. But That's besides the point. I mean, the thing is, we don't have many years to live. I mean, if you live at the, I mean, you're still alive now. Okay, just be thankful for that. But um, I don't think you should take life for granted, because I don't know, and you will never know when you will leave this world. Um, that's a fact, and a lot of people don't get to say their goodbyes. Mm. And to on top of that, if they don't have a goal and if they don't have a purpose of what they want to do, and they procrastinate, and if they continue to do what they do, uh, the thing is, what's the point? What's the point of living? I mean, I don't get this. I don't get the. Sometimes I really don't get them, because for myself, uh, like I said, I don't really procrastinate much. I'm not a procrastinator. I have a voice at the back of my mind telling me to do such and such, to take certain action after the next, after the next. I don't have a voice that tells me, no, put it off to tomorrow. I don't have that. Can you tell me why? Because to be honest, I don't have that kind of thing. I don't feel like I have that kind of procrastinator syndrome or tendencies. But for some people, maybe. But my guess is that because they are comfortable, or maybe too comfortable with certain things, or perhaps they put aside something which they don't feel like it's a motivation to do it. Yeah. So if there's no motivation, there is no why. The why is not big enough. If the why is not big enough, you won't do it.
So it's finding the bigger why. It's
You
all
have to
about
figure
finding the
out.
bigger why to really pin it in,
Mhm.
and that will be your inner voice. Every time you procrastinate, it will remind you that, hey, let's get going.
Yeah,
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 I think that's really the gist of it. Yeah, I think that really sums up
yeah,
our life today. I think, yeah, if you're here with us, do give us a comment down below. And do you procrastinate? And how have you overcome your procrastination? Perhaps you can suggest to people that we have here, or we can share it online that you have mentioned this, so we can have a shout out to you that you gave us this idea that how you could overcome procrastination. Now, of
yep.
course, for parents that are thinking how they can support their children, or educators thinking how they can support students better, yeah, it's always about helping them to be aware where they are at, and how the struggles that they may have, and see what are the building blocks or milestones we can craft with them, together with them, plan
Mhm.
goals and setting goals with them, so that we reach the little milestones to get to the big goal at the end of the day. Yeah, to
Mhm.
succeed in completing a task or in studying, right? Okay, yep, that's all for me.
And of course, do remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Press the bell button below. I know if some of you are on YouTube, just press the bell button, subscribe to
Oh.
us. Give us, help us a ton. I tell you this because, it will help us to generate more value adding content, and it will be cooler if you do that. I mean, you really don't have to, but, just clicking on a like and subscribe, it's free. You don't have to pay to do that. And of course, follow us on TikTok. Our TikToks are at Learn English with Fred and at A New Teacher's Diary. And also, do remember, follow us on our YouTube channel, follow us on our social media. Let us know if there's any questions that you have, some burning questions, or you probably have a topic in mind that you feel like discussing with us about. kindly drop us a message, kindly drop us a note on our Spotify channel, subscribe to our Spotify as well, follow us on Spotify as well. And here we are, the end of this episode. So we will see you guys next week.
And see you on the next Thursday.